Welcome to another episode of Learning How to Make. Today I'm going to be making a batard. It's a French loaf, very similar to a baguette, but it's flatter in shape. The recipe is going to be by Francois, and it's called the new Artisan Bread in 5 minutes a day. The neat thing about the recipe and the technique is there's actually no need to knead the bread. All we're doing is mixing our core ingredients together for the loaf, and we're using plain flour, not bread flour, and we're just going to let it rest for 2 hours for it to rise, and then let it rest again for another additional 3 hours in the fridge. Stay tuned to the end when I use my loaf to make a steak sandwich with chimichurri sauce to go with our loaf. Hoping that's going to be delicious. Let's get baking. So I've got 680 grams of warm water. Then got my yeast, about 10 grams, and some salt, about 25 grams. Just give that a good stir with my spoon. Trying to make sure all the pockets of air that have been caught with the yeast are just dissolved, so everything is nice and diffused. And the last part is just to add our plain flour. I'm just going to dump that in. Just give that a good mix. Just top for my arms. But it looks like everything's coming together nicely. What I'm trying to avoid is having any pockets of dry flour in the dough. So all I've just done now is to cover my plastic container. I haven't completely sealed it so that air can't go in. I've just covered it enough so that there's a little bit of opening for air to be able to go in. I'm not sure what the reason behind that is, but that's what the instructions say. So I'm going to leave this alone for about 2 hours for the dough to rise. In the meantime, I'm going to go to the gym. See you guys soon. So I'm back from the gym now, and our dough is risen. It's literally doubled and tripled in size. So I'm just going to put that in the fridge and let it rest in the fridge under cold temperature for roughly about 3 hours. The instructions in the book says it's easier to handle. Okay, so it's been 3 hours. I've just taken the dough out of the fridge. What I'm going to do now is to shape it into loaves. I think I'm going to try and make about roughly four different loaves. As you can see, it's quite sticky. So I'm just going to put some plain flour on top, just to make it easier to grip. Yeah. Looking to tear roughly the size of an orange. Perfect. I'm going to put some flour as well on my board. Just keep that to one side. Okay, some more flour on my hands, and I want to shape this into a ball. I think this is what I'm meant to do, but honestly, the description in the book is a little bit confusing. It's almost like it's too descriptive, if that makes sense. But in my head, because I know the shape of the loaf that's what I'm going for. Just make some space. So I'm looking for something almost like a baguette, but flatter, kind of like that. So while my doughs are resting, I've got a pizza stone here I'm going to preheat in my oven for roughly 230 degrees. I'll let this preheat for about 20 minutes or so, 20 minutes to 30 minutes until it's nice and hot. I've also got a baking tray in there because I'm going to add some hot water. The hot water is basically going to help create some steam, and that would help with the crust, the stone as well. Just nice to heat up the bread. Very, very hot, by the way. It's going to be really nice to heat up the bread from the bottom side, and that's it. So we'll let our doughs rest for roughly 40 minutes, bang it in the oven, and just bake. And that's literally. I've got my pastry brush here, and I'm going to dab in a little bit of water and just brush the top of the dough. not quite sure what this does. If I was going to guess, I would assume it maybe makes the crust really hard and really thick. Can't really work out the science in my head, but yeah. I'm just going to slash the dough slightly. Yeah, and pop this in the oven. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, we're going to be eating our batard as a nice steak sandwich. So a little bit of a very thin sliced steak with some brie and a chimichurri sauce.
It's my favorite part of the show now, the part where I get to taste it. In terms of the bread making process, it's pretty much like making every other normal type of bread. I couldn't really tell any differences as per the normal loaves I make. Similar to a baguette, or even with a baguette, it doesn't really differ to standard bread aside from the shape and maybe brushing it with water so that you can get that hard crust in the oven. Boy, it looks good, smells good. Yeah, I think with the recipe itself, the reason why the cookbook is called 5 minutes artisan bread is because once you've mixed the dough, you don't need to knead. So that's the unique thing, or that's the unique part of the recipe. But aside from that, yeah, hopefully it should be a good loaf. I'm gonna take a bite, can't wait. Yeah, the olive oil from the chimichurri sauce is literally just soaked through the bread, which is nice. I'm going to try my best to get a nice bite. In terms of the bread itself, from what I can taste, it's light, it's fluffy. I feel personally, you can always tell when you use plain flour instead of bread flour because it has a higher protein content, and there's a richer taste to bread flour that plain flour just can't achieve. But aside from that, It's a nice bread. It's a vessel, and to be honest, the chimichurri sauce is just completely taken over. It's a little bit too sweet for my liking. I should put less sugar, but oh my god, it's a mouthful. It's like a big punch. I can taste the garlic. I can taste the mint, the sugar. Yeah, it's just the oregano. It's just like someone is like just punching me in the mouth with flavor. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed me making that and watching me eat this delicious food. Have a great week. Catch you guys next time.